So we're going to have to talk really fast because neither of us have ever done a tweet, and we are used to doing this sort of thing in about an hour and a half.
Can you guys hear them? No. Okay.
Oh,
So yeah, just kind of, I know it's kind of goofball. Can we get this?
We'll stand.
Okay.
We'll stand closer.
We're going to give you time for this. We're going to adjust the microphone. I can make it farther out. Is that it? Oh, take the mic off the stand. Can you do that? Oh my gosh! You win a big prize.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
It's been a long road in terms of getting to where we are now with First Thursday. It started back in 77 or really 79. And it was an offshoot or an adjunct to Fat Tuesday or Mardi Gras. We saw how many people were coming down to the square and thought, we've got to take advantage of this. So a number of us got together and proposed a gallery walk in conjunction with that event. And that's how it started in 79.
and the map on the screen right now is where we are now with that. Like, that's how many dealers we have in it. That's how many dealers we have in it. That's how many spots on the map that you see are mostly in Pioneer Square, but a little bit in the rest of the city. But its beginnings are much more modest, and Sam will address that.
In the beginning, we had a few people that would, dealers who would all share in the cost of putting together a walking guide, and so that you could go to the different galleries and find them at their various locations. And eventually, we decided that it was so successful to have it be an annual event that why not do it monthly? And so we shared, well, we did first, before we got to sharing that, Paul Porter, an artist from Tacoma, and I put together what was called the Find Arts Map. We thought it would be a quarterly thing stuffed in the PI for people to find any kind of arts event, not just visual arts, and anywhere in the city. And we funded the initial printing, but that was the end of it. So it was sort of an interesting idea. We showed the storefronts, gave the locations on the map, and it was a wonderful tool, but it was not something that had a long life. After that, you can see the different areas and how many were involved, but it was not something that was going to go on. After that,
But it's worth noting that in 1980 you had 59 galleries in Seattle and Bellevue at that moment, which is something.
definitely something. And then this was the walking guide that the galleries in Pioneer Square got together and funded to help people find the exhibitions. And that went on for about 3 years. And then in 1980, the Pacific Northwest Art Council, the Seattle Art Museum, decided that they could fund a map, which is this map that you see on the screen now, and that was arranged by neighborhood. Pioneer Square was just one part of it, and all over the city where one could find visual arts. Then we evolved to...
Oh, now I get it. So Sam's history on this goes back further than mine. I was just a dumb college student when Sam was getting all the galleries down here to get the original gallery walk together. But the spirit of cooperation is the singular thing that has made this thing go on and on and on. And this next part of it is probably the very best example of that, because in 1985, Sam and I and Don Foster had the idea of putting together not just the gallery walk, but a guide that could be issued monthly to keep people aware of what we were all showing. So you're looking here at the first month of that in January 1985. And at that time, there were just 5 galleries willing to pool their resources to make this happen. And as you can tell by that first map that we showed, in that intervening 20-something years, then a lot of other people have seen, oh, that worked. I guess I'll trust enough to cooperate here. So by the next month, we had one more gallery join us called Sacred Circle Gallery. And then the gallery guide went on to become a little bit more interesting publication. So this is our one example of something that got censored. This was a show that we did at my gallery called Sex, and in this image by Roger Shimomura, this guy is nibbling on the nipple of the Japanese courtesan there, and the postal clerk in Elk Grove, Oregon decided that that was pornographic, and she would not let that thing go through the mail. And we had all these tense phone calls one afternoon, and finally she wanted to put something over it. I said, well, if you put something over it, it can't look like that's the artist's intention, that there's this black dot. Like, you've got to put something in there. She said, oh, I could put in there something that this was censored by the post. I said, perfect, go with it. Anyway, I just ran across that. So then this was our first color guide, where we had color on some of the pages. This was for a Matisse show we did then. And then this was our first all-color guide 2 years later. It took us that long to come to the realization that color in 1996 was worth going for. So this was a show at Sam's on the cover. And then this is a picture of the whole group of us when we got together to do a exhibition called Century 21 that was sponsored by the Art Dealers Association, where again we cooperated by co-curating the show on an equal and democratic basis. And even that, we had to convince a few people, like, oh, go with the group here and help make this happen. It wasn't just natural, but it's those kinds of issues that we face.
And I think the cooperation was a key thing. None of us led the thing. It was all we had to contribute. Their art, the time, the funding for the printing, and everything else. And the flow through this publication in terms of the dealers involved with it over the years, the 35 years that it's been in existence, has been enormous. We were just thinking there are probably 25 that have come and gone.
Even in this picture's from 2008, and of those 17 people, 9 businesses are now no longer here, and only 8 of us are left standing. And the other point of real communication cooperation happened when we pooled our mailing lists. Like, we presumed that if we had about 12,000 names, if Sam had 4,000 and I had 3,000 and Foster White had X number, that we total that up, it was going to be about 12,000 names, I think. And we presumed that all of our businesses shared the same clientele. And when we did the mail list purge on all of that, we realized that all of the shared names were in 20%, meaning that 80% of all those names were individual names for 1 or 2 of us to share. And that has been true through this whole thing. And at one time we got up to 25,000 names, and then we really had to start cutting. Right. We're done. Thank you.